My goodness, it's a beautiful day. I figured I'd take a video because I always take a lot of videos when the garden and everything looks so pretty. And it's January 2026, so I thought, well, I'll take a video when it doesn't look so pretty. Let me tell you some of the things that have gone on. When it gets cold, I cover up my herbs. They're in there, they're alive, but I wouldn't say they're flourishing. Everything looks so messy. This raised bed fell during one of our storms, so when it gets nicer, we're going to have to reinforce it and put it back up. We already had to do this one. There's nothing growing. My other pots are back here empty because it's winter, and my lemon tree died in the cold. My elderberry bushes, they're alive, and this is what they look like in the wintertime. It's so sad. But you can see they're still alive. And I got 6 gallons of elderberries this last year, so I'm hoping to get even more, because we do elderberry syrup. I make elderberry syrup and we take it every single day. Little shot glass of it. But you can see there's green on them, but it's so sad looking. My jasmine's still doing good. The cold didn't kill it. Our grass back in December had gotten brown because it was super dry here in Texas, and we're not going to cut it till we let it come back and flourish again. And it's flourishing. I come out every morning when I let my chickens out, and I pick a 5-gallon bucket of what everybody else would call weeds. It's various things, nettle and sorrel and medic and I don't know, 2 or 3 other things that I pick. And I mean, humans can eat it if you had to, but I pick it for my chickens, and I give them a 5-gallon bucket every day because I got 20, and no, I've got 18 of them. But anyway, back to the garden. This is what it looks like in the wintertime. It's sad. Sad little garden. So much green. If you look at the other videos, you see all the green. I never really explained in any video what we did. In 2023, we had a little garden doing great, and then a tornado came through and took down a limb off of that tree and a limb off of that tree, and it also took the roof off of our deck. But anyway, they were huge. They were the size of a tree just themselves, and we had to, oh yeah, and a limb off of that tree. We had to have some guys come and clean it all up, and that cost a ridiculous amount of money. And then, but what we did, we had a big pile of wood stumps and a big pile of wood chips, and we made this border. So that's going on 3 years ago, but we made this border out of the stumps, and then I had a little fence that I put up to take up the area in between. But since then, I've put the fence back there on my wildflower garden. But anyway, I thought it looked neat and rustic, and we're gonna have to replace some of them this spring, but I'm gonna keep it up. I like it. And we had gotten some hay, and we use hay for ground cover, and since it's the time of year that it is, we're just letting nature have it right now. But when we clean it up in the spring, we'll put more hay down as ground cover. And then this last year we put up this hoop house with a shade cloth, because the previous year it got so hot here in Texas, like 105, 110, and the sun is so intense that we thought we'd try the shade cloth, and it worked good. And we use these water bottles to water the garden with rainwater, because we have water barrels that catch it. But see, we had tomatoes, and I didn't pull them up or anything. I let nature have them right now. But you can kind of see maybe the dead. I've got some cabbage going back there's some. But back there was cucumbers. But we really haven't cleaned anything up. We're, like I said, I'm letting the bugs in nature have it for the winter. See how that does. And over here on this side was my marigolds, and they got huge. And I'm just letting nature have those. But yeah, the cold killed my lemongrass, which, I mean, I expected that. I had 4 huge ones, and I cut a ridiculous amount of it and dried a lot of it and gave a lot to the chickens, and nature can have the rest. I gotta get some new things, scarecrows, to put in my garden. And then my wildflower garden, it looks that way too. Letting it go to seed and just replenish itself. There's a ton of black-eyed Susans in there, and I picked a ridiculous amount of black-eyed Susan heads and dried them for seed for the spring. And I also did that with marigolds. I've got what, 4 jars of marigold seeds and probably 3 jars of black-eyed Susans. The black-eyed Susans will come up everywhere in the yard, and I can just take a little spade and dig them up and put them where I want them, like for a border or whatever I want to do. So I'll do that. And then you can see back here the weeds are growing up. We'll rake and rototill and put some nutrients in the ground when we're ready to plant in the spring. And my raspberries, they look so dead, and I hate it, but they're not dead. I'll have a ton of raspberries. They're doing really, really well. They spread on their own. We started with 4 plants, and they have spread and multiplied, and they're over here now all by themselves. They like went under the walkway, and then they also spread over here. So we put up some cattle panels just a couple months ago to support them, because they were laying down, and if you support them, they'll vine. And then in the spring I'll get some raspberries. But I don't like the winter season when everything looks so dead. I know it's part of it, God's plan. I just like it when everything's green. We use the blower and got a lot of our leaves over here for ground cover in this part of the garden. We're going to expand. That's what this is about. We're going to expand 4 feet when we do start the spring garden. So this will be 4 feet further out. We just haven't pulled the stumps out farther. And then we're going to do 8 feet on the other side. So we're just getting, every year it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But really, this time when we make it bigger, I don't plan on making it more stuff to plant. I plan on giving stuff more room, because we had peppers. If you look at some of the old videos, we had peppers all along this row here, and then we had, in early spring, we had peas on this hoop house, and then in summer they were done and we planted cucumbers. And so there's this walkway here between them, but it's really not wide enough for them once they start really fluffing out, because the pepper plants get huge. And you don't think about it in the spring when they're 4 inches tall, but they get huge, spread out, and then you're kind of fighting them when you walk by. So we're going to spread it out, give them a little more room. And that's everything. Everything just needed more room. And in one of our videos, you'll see we had a pumpkin plant over here, and it took up this entire area. And we got like 3 pumpkins off of it. But I'm going to take a little video of the chickens. I come out in the morning, like I say, and, do their water, do their food, let them out of the coop, and then take my 5-gallon bucket there, that green one, and I go in the yard and I get a 5-gallon bucket, and I push it down. It gets heavy. They get a lot. And then I give it to them along with their feed, and they love it. They absolutely love it. I feel like they need it, since I can't free range them, or I don't free range them, because I want them to be safe. But They really are like dinosaurs, and if you sit around and watch them a lot, they sound like the dinosaur noises that you hear in Jurassic Park. They really do sound like that. This is our run area for them. We, if you look at our videos, we started out small with just that little, I don't know, 3 foot tall one, I guess. And then we bought this run thing here, put it together and put it here with that. So it kind of doubled the amount of room they have to walk around. And then we had used a shed for the coop that we had. Works out really well, I suggest it. And watch out. And we had to use wood and wire and make a thing to connect the two. Oh, we put an old Christmas tree. We put an old Christmas tree in here. I had it out to the road and nobody took it, so I just thought, well, I'll put it in with chickens so they can sit in it if they want to. But we made this connector part, and it doesn't look like much, but it's really nice. You can stand up straight in it and everything, and we put this little feeder thing just for fun. They like to get up there and eat their stuff. And then this is the coop, and it's filthy. I mean, chickens are filthy. And I used old signage from our grocery store to insulate the coop, and it works really well. And we put a little roost thing there and a little board underneath it to catch the poo, and you have to clean that, get the poo off of it every day. And then we use baskets for them to lay their eggs. I absolutely love being out here with them because yes, they are dinosaurs, and I feel like, yes, they'd eat you if you fell down and couldn't get back up. But they're really fun to watch, and some of them are so friendly. They come right up to you. There's a dog cage that we use if we have a mama that has chicks, and we've had that happen like 4 times. But Solitaire, that's Solitaire, and she was the first one that went broody and had babies, and the others, she was sort of low on the totem pole, so they were mean to her. So we put her in this cage. Of course, it's covered up now, but we put her and her babies in there, and they did really well. And I'd let them out during the day, but at night, and instead of going in the big coop, they went in there, and that worked really well. So then Prissy was one of her babies, and Prissy went broody. I'm looking for Prissy. She went broody next, and she had 2 babies, and we put them in there, and they did well. And then when they were just 2 or 3 months old, she got broody again and had 2 babies. Or was it 3? 3 babies. And then we put them in there, and they did well. And then Gypsy, who is one of our originals, and she's right there. She has looked and been like a grandma ever since she was born. She got broody, and she sat on other people's eggs. She hatched 3, and she was such a good mama. She went in the coop every night because ain't nobody messing with Gypsy. She runs the place. Her and Bullet, the pretty rooster, runs the place. And she kept them babies in the coop with her. Never did stay in that little cage. And she sat on those babies right up until not that long ago. They were about 4 or 5 months old. They're all just crammed into a basket in the coop at night because she was a overprotective mother. And she still kind of hangs with them, but the golden brown ones, those are of the original 10 that we had. And Side-Eye, if you look at the video when they're just babies, he's the little tiny yellow chick that sat on the roost. Like, he was a rooster from day one. He acted like a rooster from day one. And then the other little chick that sits on that roost is Bullet. And so I guess that's one way to know they're going to be a rooster, is when you put them in a little cage with a roost, they get up there and watch over everybody. And Side-Eye, every time you went in there to feed him or give him water, he'd cock his head up and look at you. That's how he got the name Side-Eye. because he gave side eye all the time. He's so pretty. That's Bullet, and that's Pepper. She's part of the original 10. And these are babies. I mean, they're grown now, but they're the most recent babies that we had. That white one there's Prissy. She's the one that went broody, where she was just barely not a baby, and then she went broody a second time. And then that's one of the new roosters that was born of Prissy. And back there, I'm not sure yet. We're not sure yet if that's a rooster or a hen. It may be a rooster, but they keep trying to get on top of her, so we think it's a hen. If you tell me what you think. Her name's Aziza, and the roosters get on her all the time, and she doesn't like it, so it might be another rooster, but I have no idea. Sometimes you really don't know until they crow. We weren't sure about Bullet. Bullet started out, his name was Mohawk, because he was black as a baby. You can see him in that first video I did, and he had like white on top of his head. He looked like a Mohawk. Well, then that went away within a few weeks, and so then he had a little ruffly butt, and his butt was white and the rest of him was black, so we called him Ruffles. And that went away, and he was so fast when he'd run around, we called him Bullet. And he grew into that name, and him and Gypsy run this place, and everybody listens to him. Nobody messes with him. That's Snowball. That's Aziza. Not sure if it's a rooster or a hen. And then, who else have we got here? That's Molly. Molly's super friendly. No matter what I'm doing, it seems like she's under me. When I'm in the coop cleaning, she's under me. Uh-oh, he's crowing now. That's one of the first times that he's crowed. We're not positive he's going to make it, this one in here. Cece is his name, because we thought it was a girl. But he seems a little overly aggressive with the hens, so we'll give him a chance, because they turn into teenagers kind of, and they get, they guys show their butt. But Side-Eye and Bullet, they've always been together since day one, and they've done well. Up there is, think about his name. It's morning, and I'm not all with it, but Buffy, that's Buffy. And we call him Buford now because we thought it was a hen and it turned into a boy, so it's Buford now. But when he was a teenager, he got kind of aggressive and he almost got cold, but he came out of it pretty good. What I do, I throw him in there, shut the door and separate him, and it worked for him. And I've done it a couple times with Cece. And I mean, he stays in there a lot now. I guess he thinks he's supposed to. But at night, in the morning first thing, and then at night when they're going into roost, he gets mean with Aziza. And again, I don't know if Aziza's a boy or a girl, but he tries to hump him, so I guess it's a female. But anyway, you have to let me know what you think Aziza is. But I love them. I love watching them. They definitely have a social order, and they talk to each other. And if you sit around with them enough, you kind of get a feeling for what they're saying. And this is that. I put that tarp on the top, and every time I use shavings, I take that bag, the empty bag, and I wad it up in a ball, and I put it under there to give it kind of a peak so the water runs off. But that's the size of the area. I guess it's about 16 by 8, or 16, yeah, about 16 by 8, because we used 8-foot lumber. So, and every so often I'll give them a pumpkin. and they eat the seeds and they eat the meat out of it. I cook them sometimes. They like them cooked better. But that, you know, if I'm making something in the oven, I'll throw a pumpkin in with it. But they eat them raw too. So I hope you enjoyed this winter garden update. I know everything's dead and not pretty at all, but I'll keep taking video, and I'll probably have some seed start video and all the work. It's gonna be so much work, but all the work that we'll have to do to make our garden wider and bring it back to life. So I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions about anything, feel free to comment. If you have any suggestions, I'll take them. And you have a wonderful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.